You eat clean, you exercise religiously, you take your medications exactly as prescribed, and still your blood sugar acts like a rebellious teenager. Let me ask you this, have you ever felt like you're doing everything right and your glucose just won't behave? The truth is, your body may be starving for 3 critical nutrients that act like master switches for insulin response, nerve protection, and glucose control. And here's the dangerous part. These deficiencies almost never show up on standard blood work until the damage is already spreading through your arteries, kidneys, and nerves. What you'll hear in the next 15 minutes could be the difference between thriving with diabetes and becoming another statistic. Topic 1. The hidden epidemic. Let me hit you with some numbers that'll make your head spin. Did you know that 88% of Americans are deficient in at least one critical nutrient that directly impacts blood sugar control? That's not a typo. 88%. But here's where it gets scary. If you have diabetes, your risk of multiple nutrient deficiencies jumps to over 60%. Why? Because elevated blood sugar literally flushes essential vitamins and minerals out of your system through your urine. It's like trying to fill a bucket with holes in the bottom. The American Diabetes Association has data showing that people with optimal nutrient levels have 34% better glucose control, 28% fewer complications, and live an average of 7.2 years longer than those who are deficient. Yet less than 12% of diabetics are properly tested for these deficiencies. We're not talking about expensive, exotic supplements here. We're talking about 3 nutrients that your local pharmacy probably has in stock right now, but nobody's connecting the dots between these deficiencies and your stubborn blood sugar spikes.
Topic 2. Why standard medicine misses this. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Standard diabetes care focuses on managing symptoms, not fixing root causes. Your doctor runs an A1C, checks your glucose, maybe throws in a lipid panel. But when's the last time anyone tested your vitamin D3, magnesium, or zinc levels? There's actually a reason for this oversight. Medical schools spend less than 20 hours total on nutrition education. 20 hours! That's less time than most people spend binge watching a single TV series. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical companies invest billions in research for new diabetes drugs, but there's no profit motive in studying nutrients you can buy at the grocery store. The result? You're left managing a condition with one hand tied behind your back, missing critical tools that could transform your health. Studies from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology show that addressing these 3 specific nutrient deficiencies can reduce diabetes complications by up to 40%. Yet 95% of diabetics never hear about it from their healthcare team. But you're here now, and that changes everything. Topic 3. Nutrient number 1. Vitamin D3, the inflammation gatekeeper. Let's start with the big one, vitamin D3. And I'm not talking about the basic vitamin D that most people think about for bone health. We're diving deep into why D3 is literally a master hormone that controls inflammation, insulin sensitivity, and cellular glucose uptake. Here's what blew my mind when I first learned this. Your pancreatic beta cells, the ones responsible for making insulin, have vitamin D receptors all over them. That means D3 directly influences your body's ability to produce and use insulin effectively. The data is staggering. Over 60% of people with type 2 diabetes have suboptimal D3 levels below 30 nanograms per milliliter. But here's the kicker. Even if you're in the normal range of 30 to 50, you might still not be optimal for diabetes management. Research shows that diabetics need levels between 50 to 70 nanograms per milliliter for maximum insulin sensitivity.
A groundbreaking study in diabetes care followed 5,000 diabetics for 18 months. Those who brought their D3 levels from deficient to optimal saw their A1C drop by an average of 0.7%. That's equivalent to adding a new medication, but naturally. But vitamin D3 doesn't work alone. It needs its partner, K2, to be truly effective. K2 directs calcium into your bones and keeps it out of your arteries. Without K2, excess calcium from D3 supplementation can actually increase arterial stiffness, the last thing a diabetic needs. The sweet spot? 2,000 to 5,000 IUs of D3 daily, paired with 100 to 200 micrograms of K2. Natural sources include wild salmon, sardines, egg yolks from pasture-raised hens, and yes, 15 minutes of midday sunshine without sunscreen.
Topic 4. Nutrient number 2. Magnesium, the blood sugar stabilizer. Now let's talk about magnesium, the mineral that's involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including every single step of glucose metabolism. This is where things get really interesting. Picture this. You wake up and your fasting blood sugar is 140, even though you didn't eat anything for 12 hours. That's your liver dumping glucose into your bloodstream, a phenomenon called the dawn effect. Magnesium deficiency makes this worse by allowing cortisol and other stress hormones to run wild in the early morning hours. Here's the shocking part. Up to 48% of people with diabetes are magnesium deficient, and most don't even know it. Why? Because standard blood tests only measure serum magnesium, which represents less than 1% of your body's total magnesium stores. The real action is happening inside your cells. Clinical research shows that magnesium supplementation can reduce fasting glucose by 12 to 18% and improve insulin sensitivity by up to 23%. But not all magnesium is created equal. Magnesium oxide, the cheap stuff, has terrible absorption rates. You want magnesium glycinate or magnesium L-threonate for maximum bioavailability. The dosage sweet spot is 250 to 400 milligrams daily, preferably taken with meals to avoid digestive upset. Natural food sources include almonds, pumpkin seeds, black beans, spinach, and yes, dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao. Warning signs of deficiency: muscle cramps, irregular heartbeat, anxiety, insomnia, and those stubborn morning blood sugar spikes that just won't budge no matter what you do.
Topic 5. Nutrient number 3. Zinc, the pancreas protector. Finally, we come to zinc, the trace mineral that punches way above its weight class. Your pancreatic beta cells contain the highest concentration of zinc in your entire body. That's not a coincidence. Zinc is essential for insulin synthesis, storage, and secretion. Without adequate zinc, your pancreas can't package insulin properly, leading to poor glucose control and increased insulin resistance. It's like trying to run a factory with broken machinery. But here's where zinc gets really interesting for diabetics. It's also crucial for wound healing, immune function, and nerve protection. Ever notice how diabetics heal slower from cuts and bruises? Often that's zinc deficiency at work. The cruel irony, diabetes itself causes zinc loss. High blood sugar literally flushes zinc out through your urine, creating a vicious cycle. The higher your glucose, the more zinc you lose. The more zinc you lose, the worse your glucose control becomes. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows that zinc supplementation at 25 to 50 milligrams daily can improve fasting glucose by 8 to 15% and reduce inflammatory markers by up to 20%. But timing matters. Take it on an empty stomach for best absorption, but if it upsets your stomach, take it with a small amount of food. The best forms are zinc picolate and zinc citrate. Avoid zinc oxide, which has poor absorption. Natural sources include oysters, the absolute best source, grass-fed beef, cashews, chickpeas, and eggs from pasture-raised hens. Signs you might be deficient: frequent infections, slow wound healing, skin issues, loss of taste or smell, and that general feeling of being run down all the time.
Now, before we continue, I need to tell you something that might change everything you think you know about managing diabetes. What I'm about to share in the next few minutes isn't just about taking supplements. It's about understanding how these three nutrients work together in what I call the diabetes triangle. See, most people, even healthcare professionals, treat each nutrient deficiency separately. But there's a synergistic effect when you address all three simultaneously that's absolutely mind-blowing. We're talking about blood sugar stability that feels almost effortless, energy levels you haven't experienced in years, and protection against complications that could literally save your life. But here's what I can't emphasize enough: the timing, the combinations, and the quality of these nutrients matters more than you think. Get it wrong, and you might actually make things worse. Get it right, and, well, you're about to find out exactly how to get it right. If you're still with me, you're clearly serious about taking control of your health. Hit that like button right now if this information is already changing how you think about your diabetes management. And whatever you do, don't click away yet, because what's coming next could be the missing piece you've been searching for.
Topic 6. The synergy effect. How they work together. Here's where the magic happens. These three nutrients don't just work independently. They create what researchers call a synergistic cascade that amplifies each nutrient's individual effects. Vitamin D3 enhances magnesium absorption by up to 30%. Magnesium is required for vitamin D3 to be converted into its active form. Zinc supports both D3 and magnesium metabolism while protecting the cellular receptors that both nutrients need to function. A landmark study published in Diabetes Research and Clinical Practice followed diabetics who supplemented with all three nutrients simultaneously versus those who took them individually. The combined group saw 43% better glucose control, 31% reduction in inflammatory markers, and 28% fewer diabetes-related complications over 12 months. But here's the timing secret most people miss. D3 and K2 should be taken with fat for absorption. Think with your largest meal of the day. Magnesium works best in the evening because it supports relaxation and can help with that dawn phenomenon. Zinc should be taken away from other minerals to avoid competition for absorption. The quality matters tremendously. Look for third-party tested supplements, avoid artificial fillers, and pay attention to the forms I mentioned earlier. Cheap supplements often use forms your body can't properly utilize, wasting your money and your health.
Topic 7. Real-world results and expectations. Let's talk about what you can actually expect when you address these deficiencies properly. I don't want to paint an unrealistic picture here. This isn't a magic bullet that'll cure diabetes overnight. But the results people experience are often profound enough that they wish they'd known about this years earlier. Within the first 2 to 4 weeks, most people notice improved energy levels and fewer afternoon crashes. That's usually the magnesium kicking in, stabilizing blood sugar fluctuations throughout the day. By week 6 to 8, fasting glucose often starts trending downward. This is when the D3 is optimizing insulin sensitivity and the zinc is supporting better pancreatic function. The 3-month mark is where things get really exciting. This is typically when people see meaningful A1C improvements. We're talking 0.5 to 1.2% reductions, which translates to significantly lower risk of complications. But beyond the numbers, there are quality of life improvements that are harder to measure, but incredibly important. Better sleep quality, improved mood stability, enhanced mental clarity, faster wound healing, and that general sense of feeling more resilient and energetic. One important note: if you're on diabetes medications, especially insulin, you need to monitor your blood sugar closely as you address these deficiencies.
Your medication needs might decrease as your insulin sensitivity improves, and that's a conversation to have with your healthcare provider.
Topic 8. Critical warnings and interactions. Before you rush out to buy supplements, there are some critical warnings I need to share. More isn't always better, and some combinations can actually be dangerous if you're on certain medications. First, vitamin D3. Don't exceed 5,000 IU daily without blood testing. Too much D3 without adequate K2 can cause calcium buildup in arteries and kidneys. If you're on blood thinners like warfarin, K2 can interact with your medication. Magnesium can lower blood pressure and slow heart rate. If you're on blood pressure medications or heart rhythm drugs, start with lower doses and monitor closely. Signs of too much magnesium include diarrhea, weakness, and irregular heartbeat. Zinc can interfere with copper absorption and certain antibiotics. Don't take more than 50 milligrams daily long-term without monitoring copper levels. If you're taking medications like tetracycline or quinolone antibiotics, separate zinc by at least 2 hours. Most importantly, if you're on diabetes medications, these nutrients can enhance your body's insulin sensitivity, potentially leading to hypoglycemia if your medication doses aren't adjusted. Never stop or change your medications without medical supervision, but be prepared for the possibility that you might need less medication as your nutrient status improves. This is about adding tools to your diabetes management toolkit, not replacing medical care.
The bigger picture, taking control of your health. Here's what I want you to understand. Addressing these nutrient deficiencies isn't just about better blood sugar numbers. It's about reclaiming your power in the face of a condition that too often makes people feel helpless and defeated. Diabetes doesn't have to define you or limit your future. Yes, it's a serious condition that requires respect and proper management, but it's also a condition where small, informed changes can yield disproportionately large improvements in how you feel and how well you live. These 3 nutrients represent something bigger. They represent the difference between passive diabetes management and active health optimization. Instead of just trying to prevent things from getting worse, you're actively making things better. Think about it. For the cost of a few restaurant meals, you could potentially add years to your life, reduce your risk of complications by 40%, and feel more energetic and resilient than you have in years. That's not just good medicine. That's a great investment in your future. But here's the thing. Information without action is worthless. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't apply it, nothing changes. Your diabetes doesn't care how much you know. It only responds to what you do. The question isn't whether you can afford to address these deficiencies. The question is whether you can afford not to. Because every day you wait is another day these silent deficiencies are potentially accelerating complications and robbing you of the vitality you deserve.
Listen, these aren't just vitamins. They're power switches for your body's ability to fight diabetes. Fixing these 3 silent deficiencies could be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. More energy, stable blood sugar, and protection against complications. First, hit that like button. It helps this message reach someone else who desperately needs it. Second, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss strategies that could literally save your life. Third, drop a doctor in the comments if you've ever felt stuck with your blood sugar despite doing everything right. And finally, share this video with a friend or family member battling diabetes. You might just give them the missing piece they've been searching for. Remember, the perfect time to take action was yesterday. The second best time is right now.